bit there. Okay. I think that's going to work a little bit. Yeah, I think that's good. All right, let me get the other one started here. Good morning, guys. I know you guys are all in here waiting for me. I appreciate you. And we're just trying a new thing I've got going on here because I noticed on the last time, like half the screen was gone. Shut up, phone. Half the screen was gone when I started moving cameras around. Okay, so good morning to everybody. Hopefully you've all checked in. We're going to go to the YouTube chat here and knock this out first things first while the the clapper gods are awakening themselves. Notifications have been sent out. Hopefully you've got your coffee and are ready to do things. Whoever just popped in on the clapper, make sure you stop by and say hi. Yeah, that was fast. 1, 0, and I'm gone. It's always amazing to see what people. There's West Virginia Pappy. I see you there in the claposphere. All right, guys, make sure you check in. Good morning to Fel. First, you are first in the claposphere. All right, let's see. That's right, West Virginia Pappy. You were in here first, but he typed first. All right, so going to the YouTube. Cool coat. Number 1, Jordan. Number 2. I'm sorry, you were first. And then number 2. What the heck, Wednesday? Yeah. It's fun coming up with themes to all the craziness that's happening in the world, but it is what it is. Alan, good morning. Dog and Ball Productions, haven't seen you in a while. Good morning. Deborah, good morning. Catitude. Bob Pita, Hicktown Honey, West Virginia Pappy, omnipresent. Tina Price. Charles Cormack, I don't recognize you. Welcome to the stream. Logo, good to see you again, bro. Window Liquor reporting for duty. Good morning. Window Liquor got himself in trouble. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what do we got here? And we got Tefel popped in. Looks like he's omnipresent as well. Hard to tell. All right, guys. So we're going to pop out of the chat real quick and start talking about a few things. I accidentally clicked this, but I'll stay. Stray Kitten, nice to meet you. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you guys haven't done that yet, make sure you please do that. It does drive people to the channel. It does help out. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about a few current events. I've been listening to a few things this morning, and I'm not overly impressed with some of the people that are supposed to be more educated, more intelligent, and know more things about the world than just this dumb guy. Let me move this. I'm still not happy with the way the clapper thing is working. So I wanted to talk to you a little about it. I actually had this whole rage thing against Canadian Prepper this morning because he started running his suck in this video. I guess it's from last night or whatever. Or it's hard to tell. You know, it's urgent because I did it in my truck. But, you know, I try not to hold grudges. But, man, just the dumbest things this guy says. You know, just I know how to use big words because I went to this place that gave me this piece of paper that says I can use big words. And that's dynamite, but I've actually been on the ground. I've actually been in this world. I've stood behind people in the State Department and those 4-letter, normally 3-letter, you know, organizations that we cannot speak about. And it's always interesting to hear the babble that comes out of these armchair quarterbacks. I heard a bunch of it this morning. All I will say is, even though I know a lot of you don't like the guy, be very cautious. He's very charismatic in the prepping community. And if you notice, he doesn't actually say, come buy my stuff. He's just pretending this is some kind of public service that he's doing for sometimes an hour, sometimes 2 hours a day. Well, I tell you what, if he's the man that he presents himself to be, and he's the man that the business world, you can actually look up people's you can find out how much a person is worth very quickly on the internet. And he's a millionaire. And you know, if he is the businessman that I think he is, then he doesn't have time to be doing public service announcements for 1 and 2 hours a day. And one might actually say, well, because he's got so much money, he has so much time. That's not how it works. More money equals more stress. More money equals more work. More money equals more time away from the things that you would rather be doing. It's your whole balance of have to do versus want to do things. and to present it in a format that makes you look as if you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart. If people know who you are, it makes you look foolish. Okay, Sid, let's see here. Let's see. West Virginia Pappas has always been a slacker. Jeff Allen, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, bro. Let's see here. I'm going to go to the chat here because I see people putting things in the chat here, but I wanted to talk to you about something very briefly before we get into this, because I've got another very interesting article that I've read and made notes on that talks about, exactly as the thumbnail said. It wasn't clickbait. It's exactly what we're going to talk about. But I feel that it's important that we talk about some of the more realistic things that are happening in our world before we dive right into those things that could happen. All right, so first things first. Yemen did not declare war on Israel. Okay? Please, if you believe this, please stop. That is not what has happened. Now, what has happened is the Houthis have declared war on Israel. Now, this is all babble. This is all complete babble. And so basically the Houthis aim to govern all of Yemen. They're a tribe, they're a sect. There is a revolution that's been going on in Yemen for some years now. Their goal is to destroy any external anti-imperialist movements against the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. They've launched repeated missile and drone attacks against Saudi cities. The conflict is widely seen as a proxy war between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So the Houthis are not the country of Yemen. Also, if you guys don't remember last week, I think it was almost 7 to 10 days ago, one of our ships shot down some missiles that were launched from Yemen. You guys, did we forget about that? Did they go, we're at war, launch the missiles? No, that's not what happened, guys. So this is something that has been going on. It's been going on for years. They've decided to play the Muslim Brotherhood war game where, we'll just get involved. We have to support our brothers. And there's some truth to that. But the reality is that the country of Yemen did not declare war on anybody. So please, if you think that, please stop. And if you're passing that around, please stop. It just didn't happen. It was the Houthi rebels. The Houthi rebels do control a large swath of Yemen, but they are not the country of Yemen. Okay. So the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is... it's kind of, all right. So I'm going to say some things that may piss some people off here. I'm telling you right up front. So do me a favor, hit those likes and subscribes now so you can't take them back later. I don't care about that crap, but anyway, it does help the channel. Anyhow, so there is a lot of scuttlebutt that's happening globally right now, talking about mass civilian casualties in Israel. Now, that just saying those words may have this video flagged. I don't know. They're saying that about 8,000 civilians have been killed so far in the last 24 days with the bombing within the Gaza Strip. They're also estimating that about 40% of them were women and children. Here's what you need to know about the Gaza Strip, guys. And this is why I'm going to tell you right now, it's bullshit. They're even like, these are human beings. You're absolutely right. I completely agree with your sentiment. But you need to get your facts straight. The Gaza Strip is predominantly full of men that are somewhere between 10, or it's men, it depends on your religion, but somewhere between 10 and 26 years old. That is the predominant, that's who live there. Women don't want to be there. There is a shortage of women. There's always been a shortage of women in the Gaza Strip. Why? Because they don't want to live in this environment. They don't want to live underneath, basically a bunch of terrorists underground. They don't want to be there. So all these men are there, okay? That's why when you see the drone footage, there's like, they fly over all these military age male, and that's 50% right. But it's not because It's not because there aren't women and children there. It's because there is less women and children there. So these people that are coming out with these estimates of 40% of 8,000 civilians killed in the last 24 days are absolutely full of crap. It's that easy. This is all a play to try and garner attention for the organization writing these statistics and the news media that is espousing, they're regurgitating this junk. Maybe it's clickbait, maybe it's they need ratings, maybe they need something because, the rage was, oh, by the way, paragliders came in and killed a bunch of, 1,400 people. It was actually closer to 1,000, but there were about 400 soldiers that were killed. You can't erase that, guys. You can't make that disappear. That's how the bad guy wins, when they can erase history. Okay. When, it's like, who writes the history books? The victors. And now they're trying to do all of that early up front so that they can garner sentiment for their cause. And we have to be very aware of this because we're getting so much disinformation that it's confusing everybody. And so the people that are generally good are trying to make a mental decision that will have no effect on the real world, but they're trying to get it in their heads. Who's the bad guy in this thing? Is Hamas the bad guys because they killed all these people? Or are the real Israelis the bad guys because they killed all these people? This is all a big game of, if you do this to me, I'll do this to you. And no one's ever going to stop, guys. No one's ever going to stop because the Palestinians are still pissed off because the Israelis kicked their asses, in 71 and took the land that they used to attack the Israeli side. They just like, screw you, we're taking it, that's the spoils of war. They got their asses kicked. Their butt hurt about it. And now it's like, oh, this is our land. Yeah, you know what? That's what everybody, that's what the American Indians said about the white people in America when they stole their lands. That's what the indigenous people of Europe said when the people from the Far East invaded and stole their land. That's what the Europeans said when the Vikings came and kicked their ass. It's the way of the world. It's the way of the world. If we continue going down this path and the Chinese and Russians decide to EMP us and show up on our doorstep and they win, well, you know what? You better start to learn a little bit of Chinese, because it's the way of the world. To the victor goes the spoils. Pushing that back to the conflict in Israel, this is the Islamic people feeling that they have the opportunity to finally get rid of Israel and using everything in their power from. They think that the Houthis were targeting the nuclear power plant. Everybody's freaking out about that. That would be because that's an act of war. What do you think they're doing? Okay, that's nuclear Armageddon. Yeah, it could be. It could be a serious problem. You guys, excuse me a second. My nose is doing weird stuff. Yeah, that makes good for live streams, right? But the reality is that this is all just a big battle. And then I actually heard this morning from, oh my God, the Canadian prepper saying this is not a religious war. This is a religious war. It is based on a religion. It is based on the religion that wants to wipe out all the infidels to make an Islamic world. Now, not all Muslims are bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that these extremists are bad. That's all this is. That's all this is. So. Okay, so I think my rant about that is pretty much over. I just can't stand when, it's like if you guys are smart, you're reading the same articles that I am, you're watching the same TV that I am, you're getting your news from the same places I am, not because I do it, but because people gravitate to logical information instead of emotional information. That's a huge difference between the blue ties and the red ties. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into, I'm going to check the chat real quick, but before we do that, I see there's 29 people in here. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, clapper side, whatever you do over there. I think I can like, it used to be you could like tap the screen and stuff, but that doesn't seem to be working anymore. I don't know. Maybe that's a TikTok thing. Do something over there, guys. Do something over there. And I'll keep talking. All right. So we're going to go to the chat. I don't see any updates on the clapper side, so I'm going to go to the YouTube side. Looks like people just saying hi to each other. All-American Prepper. The victor writes the history books. You're damn right. They do. Ian, good morning. That's why they're sore losers. That's what all sore losers say. Exactly right. But see, that's just it. It's not an emotional thing. It's a fact. The reality is that to the victor goes the spoils. Not because, it's like, yeah, I think the only time that we've ever like not given something or given something back and said, with just a few stipulations was, when we were at war with Japan. I think that was the only time. And, they had their armistice. There's a treaty. We're friends now, but we're going to keep our stuff over there to protect this area. You know what I'm saying? And that was about it. And there's people that are pissed off about that, but whatever, man. I just say grow up. Let's see here. Good morning from Grumpy Acres Farm. All-American Prepper, you're with Grumpy Acres? That's scary. Morning all from the chilly Midwest. There you go, Grumpy Acres. Let's see here. News is going for that emotional response. That's true. Bird Lady Speaks. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a few days. Okay, so we got all of that. We got all that knocked out there. Let's go ahead and talk about the subject that let's talk about what we're actually going to talk about. Let me click on that. I don't need the hootie stuff anymore. And so there are certain assumptions that have been made, and I know I talked about SHTF yesterday, but I came across this article last night, and I was like, you know what? This is really covering some things that and has some information in it that I really wasn't able to cover yesterday in such a short period of time. And I wanted to go over it with you because I think it's important that we know how bad something like that would be. Okay. And not to like, oh, thank you for the information, LP, but actually think about it, because if we're not thinking about it, then we're not preparing for it, because they talk about the term holes in your preps. Now, the holes in your preps are directly related to things that you have not thought about, not done anything about, and you can't do anything about it unless you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Get that plan, make the plan, execute the plan, check your plan out, reevaluate it. Maybe you have to make some changes, maybe you do some add tos, takeaways, that kind of thing. Excuse me. My nose is itching on the inside like crazy. Oh, let's see here. Jeff says, I couldn't find you on Rumble. Are you not live streaming there? No, I've had problems with my internet, Jeff. Right now, I'm using, I am live streaming both on YouTube and Clapper. So my Clapper-ons don't get all butthurt because I'm on YouTube as well. But I'm actually using two cell phones right now. They're side by side. So, all right, let's see here. There are general assumptions that we think about when we think about SHTF. And honestly, how often? You know what? With the exception of, I got a question for you. With the exception of my live stream yesterday, have you thought about SHTF in the month of October? Type 1 in the chat if yes. Type 2 in the chat if no. Go ahead. I'm going to check out the chat while you guys do that. Let's see here. I think we didn't get much from the last two wars, Iraq, Iran, that people don't understand. The winner gets the spoils. Yeah, we left a lot of stuff on the ground. I mean, we didn't really get much out of the war in Iraq. We thought we were going to get a buttload of oil. That never happened. We thought that we would be able to come in there and set up all of our McDonald's and our Burger Kings and our Taco Bells, and that never happened. All we really did is just go in and we're not nation building. Then they tried to nation build and that didn't work. So yeah, those wars pretty much sucked. Hicktown Honey says at 12 a.m. So we do have activity. Yeah, Grumpy is building someone to bonkers, setting one up for. Gotcha. Bunkers. I got you, bro. I got you. And we do have looks like we got a lot of ones over on the Clapper side too. Tiameto La Pinga. I'm probably saying that wrong, bro, but I tried. 111. Bradley, I'm a firm believer that if you conquer a land, then you should keep it, but Russia and China wouldn't allow that. Yeah. It's all, and here's the thing, in war, when you do that, there are so many political things, it's like, so you were the bad guy to this country, right? And you tried to tell them I'm a good guy. We're coming to free you guys from the Soviet or whatever, socialism or communism. We're coming to free you guys. We're a source of good in the world. Sound familiar? But we always end up in these damn wars where there's no real objective. The guys on the ground, I know firsthand, the guys on the ground are like, we're going to go do what? And what's the reason for that? Because somebody said, okay, let's go. It really does come down to people. People used to fear the United States internationally. When they heard the Marines were coming, they changed their attitudes about everything. An amphibious ready group shows up off your shore overnight. Things change very rapidly. And they don't do that anymore. They just don't feel that way anymore. That, and we're always constantly reporting where every damn thing is, which is freaking stupid. But anyway, let's see. Miss Melody says, I'm trying to grow indoors winter too. I gotcha. I've been thinking about it. I have a lot to do. I just started spring this year, playing catch up, praying. Thanks for your time, LP. Gotcha. Oh, we'll talk to you later, Ian. Be safe. But we don't actually think about what our SHTF situation would be. And you have to remember that one has actually happened recently here in America that everybody knows about. Now, that was Katrina. There was no rule of law. There was no supplies. There was no way in and out. There was no Walmart, no TV, no internet, no nothing. Just helicopters flying around looking for people to rescue. They actually took away firearms. They basically suspended the Constitution, which they found was unconstitutional. And they should have just shot these people when they showed up. But anyway, so the first thing to think about is basically you're going to go from the rule of law to Thunderdome, and I thought it very fitting because it's how fast we go from Shake It Off to Thunderdome is an interesting assumption. I've read some who think it will be nearly instantaneous overnight. Others say several days, 2 weeks, or somewhere in between. There are some more recent events that can look at, for examples, Katrina, the lawlessness of major cities are currently experiencing. It's been noted that more than a few times, by the time they realize they're in an SHTF situation, it was too late. Where they, from panic buying to grocery stores to outright looting, from civilian normalcy to stabbings with no EMS or LEOs responding, it happened slowly, then suddenly. And that's the scary part, guys. We're seeing that now. Things are happening very slowly, and then suddenly something will happen. The rule of law broke down. All society are only as good as the laws written and those who follow those laws. Once rule of law is gone, chaos and anarchy rule. It is only with the threat of punishment and, to a degree, the social contract that a society functions. When rule of law has broken down, those who would enforce those laws are just as helpless as the rest of us to the chaos and anarchy. In that case, I cannot blame law enforcement officers any more than I could anyone else. They're just as fearful for their lives and the lives of their families as everyone else. This article is not super well written, but I wanted to give it to you verbatim, so you know these are not my words. Now, my thoughts on this. It's actually pretty simple, guys. The rule of law is extremely important. We talked yesterday about vigilantism. We talked yesterday about warlords and tribal methodologies and thinking. And we should be remembering that those things all can happen very, very, very rapidly. It only takes a bad guy to go with his bad friends and say, okay, guys, and listen, there's no cops. Let's go do this. Because there's no fear of anything happening to them. We're seeing this every single day. Every single day. I'm glad that it has not found its way into my town. I don't know what that means. I don't know what would happen if it did find its way here. I know that it would change the way I function and move in the world. And I would guess that it would do the same thing to you guys. And it's kind of scary. But basically, without the rule of law, the bad guys know that no one can stop them who wears a badge, who carries a gun, who is in a position of authority that we have given to them. They know that no one's going to stop them. And they're going to continue. And once they do it, then they're going to either be smart and go, hey, we got away with that. Maybe we need to lay low for a while. Or they're going to be dumb and make the same decision again. At some point, the citizenry will either be the sheeple that they are, or they are going to fight back. They're going to start stopping these people. We've all seen the videos where, I think the newest one I saw was, and I don't even think it happened in America, there's a security guard in his uniform trying to stop a shoplifter who had all the stuff that he was stealing in a backpack. And he was just holding the cart because he wasn't allowed to touch the guy. He was holding one of the shopping carts in front of him. Well, the criminal decided or figured out that, hey, if I just push on this cart, I can push this security guard out of my way. He started pushing on the cart, but what he didn't know is that one of the employees had a bottle of something, tossed it at him, hit him in the head, and knocked him out just like that. It was a good 10, 20-foot throw. It was not bad at all. It's pretty interesting. It's worth watching over and over the way they're threaded and loaded. Anyway, it makes it very easy. But people are starting to get tired, and I don't support Clapper. I literally just barely touched the cable, and the Clapper camera just went. 1 second, my YouTube family. You're on a more stable tripod. Where's that damn camera at? Holy crap! The whole thing fell apart. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, Clapper. Clapper, you're still alive, guys. You're still alive, but give me a second to fix you. I have no idea why. I really need to get something more stable underneath the platform itself. We're going to put you right there. We're going to get you back over here. I'm going to try and get you plugged back into your power source, because doing these live streams, these things eat the batteries on these phones so rapidly. All right, we're going to try and see. Maybe I lean you up against the other camera, and that's what caused the problem the other day where, what a trip. I want to make sure I don't cover that camera again. There we go. Okay, so I think we're okay, guys. I think we're okay. That was hilarious. It's like the phone just goes, falls off the table. Okay, so like we were talking about the rule of law, and like I said, I cannot condone violence, and I can't promote it in any way, obviously, because it's not the right thing to do, but also it's a YouTube guideline, which super sucks. But what I can do is I can tell you that people should start standing up. People should start doing the right thing. People should do, it's always amazing that when you do the right thing, normally the way the laws are written, the way the communities are organized, doing the right thing normally means that you're not going to be that guy who gets charged with, you'll get sued because somebody fell through his skylight while he was trying to break in and got stabbed by the knife on the counter. That's the ridiculousness of these things. So I think society is slowly waking up. Unfortunately, it will literally take someone to shake society by the shoulders until their brain rattles around and says, stop doing this stuff. Do the right thing. Be a good person. We have rules for a reason. But until that happens, all we can do is be prepared. All we can do is try to be that person, and hopefully the rest of the world will take note. Okay, so let's see. The next thing that I'm going to want to talk to you guys about, and I'm going to check the chat real quick here because I'm sure I was doing a lot of talking and you guys were doing a lot of speaking. Let's see. The clapperons are still doing their thing. I got some hearts over there, but I don't know what any of that means. And let me go and check the old YouTubes, the old YouTube chat. We got a lot of stuff on the YouTube side. Let's see here. Machiavelli, it's good to see you, Mac. Let's see here. You guys were talking about your playing catch up. Law enforcement is also understaffed. Yeah, Deborah, law enforcement is understaffed. And they have been ever since the Black Lives Matters thing. And just these cities folding to and catering to these organizations that are nothing, that are nobody. It's like this, it's somehow 10% of our population has found a way to control the other 90%. It is so absolutely mind blowing. I saw somebody the other day. They were in, I won't say the name of the store, but they were in this massive chain store that frickin' everybody has one within 15 miles of them. And somebody threw a fit because this person was not wearing a mask, and that person actually worked there. And they were just like, well, I'm never coming back here. And that person said right to their face, well, good luck with that. We're the only one within 60 miles. And they just looked at him like they were crazy and stomped off. And it was like this good person just standing up for one, themselves, and two, the right thing. So it's crazy, man. Deborah says, I've been asked to work for my community. That's interesting. Grumpy Farm says, the less effective law enforcement becomes, the more common vigilantism becomes. People will stop fearing legal repercussions. Yeah, and it's scary because, there is I know that there is a militia in this area, but they are super secretive. I have no intentions of joining. I don't want anything to do with these people. I'm sure I probably know a few of them, but they've never said one word to me, and there is not even any suspicion. That's how well organized they are. But they appear when things go bad. They literally show up to guard buildings, and the sheriffs even know who their leaders are, but the sheriffs never talk about them. So it is very interesting, but how quickly could that, you get the wrong guy in a leadership position, and how quickly could that turn into vigilantism, the street justice? How quickly could that happen? And those are things that we should be thinking about, because at some point, specifically during an SHTF situation, you could end up being the one person who says, no, we're not going to do that, and here's why. You could literally find yourself in a position of leadership without even knowing that it happened, when people are like, well, what's next? What are we doing now? Because you stood up, and you should probably be ready for that. You should definitely probably be ready for that. Oh, let's see. You are a first responder in my situation. Got you. Kentucky Patriot Prepper. I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, bro. When it comes to your door, and you have to think about action before SHTF, before SFTF, it's already too late. Prepare physically and mentally now. Absolutely. And that's why I'm actually having a lot of these live streams now, where I'm talking about these things that that the other preparedness people in this space are not talking about. Yeah, I sell my stuff. Yeah, I've got stuff to buy. We're going to talk about some of that later on. But right now, we need to talk about more of the things that we should be like actually engaging in, more of the deep thought type stuff instead of just, hey, look at my cool gadget. You know, there should be a reason for everything that you purchase, not just because some dipstick told you to do it. God knows. Do your own damn research anyway. Let's see. Deborah says, what is keeping me from doing it is my prepping is very important because I'm behind most of being, you're behind and you don't feel you're ready. I got you. And that's okay. But you know what? You've got to find that work-life balance. You know, and if you believe that doing anything for your community is going to take away from that, then you got to do what you got to do. You know, you will, you know where it sounds like you know where your brain needs to be. So let's see here. Love hearing people say that. Bird Lady speaks. That's a cool name. Just realize how much I take for granted. I have been building my homestead and learning new skills, but haven't put a lot into protecting what I have built. I have protection, but realize you need more. That's okay. I was able to read between the lines before you even typed that, Bird Lady. There's I always try to read between the lines, and you'll never see the grammar police come out over here. It's just not worth it. So, yeah, I mean that's a video all within itself. Just like protecting. Most people don't even think about like protecting what they've built. I'm very now that I'm not on the piece of property that I was several months ago. I'm living in a small town. I see so many vulnerabilities everywhere, and I'm trying not to let it drive me nuts. I'm trying to make sure that my work-life balance or my prep life balance is. Window Licker's got his profile. Choo-choo! Good for you, man. I'm trying to make sure that there's a balance there, because if not, you can go a little crazy. And you're constantly worrying. You're not going to sleep. That's going to make you sick. You're not going to feel good. You're not going to be 100% when you need to be. So finding that work-life balance is extremely, extremely important. West Virginia Papper says, buy the American way. Yes, well, that's what they call us. Did you know that they don't call any place else, any other citizenry consumers other than America? The American consumer. I've never heard of the English consumer or the UK consumer or the German consumer. We consume. That's what we do. All right, nose is itching again. You're welcome, Bird Lady. Okay, so I think this is a good point right here. While we're talking about consuming, I've got a little bit of a bone to pick with you guys. And it may be you, it may not be you. Okay? As you know, I do affiliate, or I am an affiliate. Yes, an affiliate for several different companies that I actually believe in, companies that they actually sell real products that really do work and that are not ripoffs. So one of the things that I do sell is something called the EMP Shield. This is their newest device right here. Now I have one because I own several of these things. Okay. And this is not a cheap item. This is probably their most expensive item. This one is $449. So if you use my code localprepper, you can save $50. So $400 for this device. Okay. Back over here, I'm going to get it from my clapper, guys. I also affiliate for Jace Medical. Okay. Now Jace Medical, these are antibiotics. These are all prescription by and from a doctor, and they are for me, and I have one for my girlfriend. I have one for her son. I have some antibiotics. Now, here's what I don't understand. So they let me know when someone has bought a product underneath one of my links. And oh, by the way, if you use the code localprepper, you can save $10 on this. This is $269 American, $349 Canada. This is $450. Let me get that right. $450 American. Everybody is so, I want to talk to you guys about this because I feel like people may be making decisions that are wrong. Okay. They're more fearful of an EMP attack than they are of getting an infection and dying. Which do you think is more likely to happen? Which one of these things do you think is more likely to happen? Based off of my sales last month, more people bought these than these. Can anybody tell me if there's a problem? If you could see a problem with that, type 1 in the chat. If you cannot see a problem with that, type 2 in the chat. Don't type anything else. Just those two. Those are your two choices. It's called a closed probe. Okay? So do that while we talk a little bit here. I feel as if, and believe me, I have great gratitude when somebody buys one of these off of a video that I made. Because if you guys have not seen my EMP shield versus trap video, it is probably one of my best videos. It has the most information about these devices, and people are normally buying them from that video. But I don't make a lot of videos about this because I feel like this should be more common sense. Now, I have friends in our community that have used these things, that have used the medicine that they have bought, that they have purchased for ear infections, sinus infections, lady infections, okay? And save them hundreds of dollars in doctor bills. So I'm not telling you to go buy this stuff. I'm telling you that if you believe that your priority is the EMP, okay, over an infection, you might want to rearrange your priorities, okay? Both reasonably expensive, one more expensive than the other. What I will tell you is that if you don't have that, I almost went into a sales pitch. Listen, guys, I put a link below in the description. It just says, I think from this video, products or whatever. It's going to take you to my website, localprepper.net, and it's going to put you on a page where all of the products that I actually trust and endorse are. Take a look around there. Be adults. It's your money. Spend it wisely. That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay. But I had to bring it up because I'm seeing my sales from this month, and I'm noticing that people are buying the things that I would personally consider to be wrong. I would love to have 10 of these things. Okay. I would love to have 10 of these things. But obviously in this economy, things are tough. So, I mean, it is what it is. All right. So let's stop talking about that. I appreciate the comments. I'm going to check the comments on the YouTube side. Looks like the clapper. Looks like everybody. It's exactly. So you guys were all in agreement. I also noticed that a lot of you guys actually have the Jace case. But it's nice to know that I'm not totally crazy. It's nice to know that I'm not totally crazy. Okay, so I guess the next thing that we need to talk about is when the grid goes down, guys. Can't drive that vehicle if not physically up to it. That's very true. It's very true. Infection is very, very dangerous. Yeah, a lot of people don't. And so here's one of the things that I tell people about antibiotics. In modern warfare, in the last 10 years, our medics, our Navy corpsmen, our doctors have our emergency medical professionals in the military have discovered that more people were actually dying. More people who were wounded in battle actually died from infection later than the actual wounds from the battle. So what they did was they actually created a little pack of antibiotics, a multi-spectrum antibiotics. And the second they get this guy patched up and he can actually look at him and it dude, can you swallow? And he gives you the thumbs up, they're putting these pills down his throat to start to treat him for infection before anything even happens. So thinking about that, it's pretty smart to have antibiotics in your medical kit. And that's all I'm going to say on that. All right, so when the grid goes down. All right, guys. So let me take a sip of coffee here. And there's going to be a lot of agreement in this. So this is one assumption most make and agree on. If your electrical grid were to go down for a prolonged period of time, weeks, months, or even longer, we would have some serious problems. Some think violence would be the biggest cause of death in SHTF situation. Historically, and even to this day globally, sanitation issues have been some of the biggest causes of death. Grid down, the toilets do not flush, and nothing comes out of the tap. Other issues are heating, cooling, and cooking, and they're all related to power. Depending on your location at the time of the year, all three present their own issues. Obviously, heating in the far north in the winter can be an issue for those who do not heat with wood. Oh my God, there it is for number one, yawn number one of the day. In the south, cooling in its own is its own issue during the summer. Most people would be able to cope, although it may not be comfortable. In both cases, it is the very young and the very old who would be the most vulnerable. Cooking over a wood fire is doable, but first you need wood for the fire. Then you need food. Grid down, unless you have a generator, your perishables in the fridge and freezer are only going to last a few days at the most. Even then, you are dependent on the fuel supply. So you can see where one thing is linking to the other. This pushes us right into sanitation issues. Now, sanitation is one of the biggest causes of death globally, even to this day. Exactly the issue that happened when the power goes out and the tap no longer flows, the toilet no longer flushes. We've seen this in Afghanistan in the midst of a drought with a large number of people gathering around a single source of water and someone defecated in it. The result was a cholera outbreak. It was not for a humanitarian aid effort of hydration solutions, salts. A lot of people, if it wasn't for those solutions, a lot of people would die. If you think San Francisco is bad now, imagine lots of people just defecating in a bucket and tossing it into a 7-story or larger apartment building, and no one is going to clean it up. Who's going to volunteer for that job, and what are the rest of us going to pay them? Very, very easy to see how all of those little dots are all connected. They're all absolutely connected. So, understanding that when your power goes out, if you are dependent on it, you're going to have a really, really bad time. And when I say you, I mean your family, those your loved ones, or maybe it's just you, maybe you just live by yourself, but you're going to have a bad time. And I think we take it for granted, the world that we live in. I've seen some third world nations where basically they dump the buckets in these ditches, and I could barely even call them ditches. They're more like just cutouts, maybe this wide and maybe a foot deep, and that is supposed to be the drainage for all the sewage to get it out of the village. And they're literally right there on the streets, and you just dump your bucket right there. And living like that is not, it's not good. For lack of better words, it's not sanitary. And I think we take it for granted that we live like this without even a thought of it, without even a wonder as if the toilet's going to flush. And as preppers, I know that you guys are thinking about these things, but are you really? Are you really? Do me a favor in the chat. If you have a plan right now to where your toilet doesn't flush anymore, a plan that will get you through a week, 1 week of dealing with human waste, type 1 in the chat. If you don't type anything. Just type 1 in the chat. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go over here and look at the YouTube chat because there we go. So we got 1 or 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Okay. This is a good sign, guys. This is a good sign. Now, if your neighbor has a plan for this, type 2 in the chat. Let's see what happens. Okay, Grumpy Acres Farm. Oh, you're a cheater, though. I know where you live, Grumpy. But remember, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Max says, I use a composting toilet. Good man. In the middle of the woods, so I guess that's my plan. There you go. 2, my plan is my neighbor. 2, my plan is my neighbors. Oh, you're just going to use your neighbor's house. I got you. You turd. Freaking window licker. Okay, but you see where I'm going with that, right? So it's very easy to, regardless of if you have a plan, you really actually don't have a plan, because let's try this. Let's try this. If you have, no, I can't say that because that's not fair to everybody. I can't say that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Let's see here. Let's see. My plan is my neighbors. We caught that. 2, my parents are my neighbors. I got you. No idea. I don't talk to my neighbors. I got you, Tefel. But sanitation is going to be a huge issue. Things will literally pile up. Literally. Okay. And dealing with human waste is, obviously it's not going to be fun, but it has to be dealt with in a way that is not going to either pollute your water source or make your life miserable. The military has a way of doing it that's actually pretty smart. If you don't know about it, you might want to look it up. But it's not perfect. I even saw somebody there who said that they were going to use. Let me go find it. And where are we at here? Deborah says sawdust in a bag empty, and burn, and that works to an extent. But now you're burning human waste, and that's one way of getting rid of it. But is that really a plan? Let's see here. Years ago, used outhouses. That's a plan. Exactly. That's where I was actually going to go. Window liquor was an outhouse. Like, do you actually have a plan that doesn't involve a bucket, a plastic bag, okay, and sawdust, okay? Because those are, I hate to say this, but that's temporary. Do you have a plan? Have you picked out a spot somewhere? Unfortunately, most people, they live where you can't really dig. I just had a great idea. You guys can steal it from me. Right now. So almost everybody, okay, unless they live in the city, has a septic tank. What if you just found your septic tank and built something over the top of it? I think it might work. Oh, let's see. Could build a small shack on top of the septic hole. Ha! Well, I beat you, Hilltown, honey. I beat you, but like, great minds think alike, right? Dig another hole and move the outhouse over. I got you. Well, the thing is a lot of people's property is not big enough to have these multiple spots where you're going to put an outhouse, because, and honestly, you can't dig them deep enough, because if you really want to dig a real outhouse, you got to get about 20 feet into the ground, to make that spot actually last, because a lot of times people don't move them for like 1 or 2 years. But anyway, I digress. All right. So checking out the clapper here. Where are we at here? 2 parents. Rockets does make quick work of faces. I don't quick work. Stanley, we don't know what you're talking about, but if you're going in the direction that I feel like you're going in, you're going to find yourself someplace else. So please be courteous here, and maybe you can learn something. First, last, and only warning. Okay, let's see here. The last thing that we're going to talk about is there's some statistical data I wanted to share with you guys. And the last thing that we're going to have to think about is the mass die-off. People are going to die. Now, we honestly, guys, I think we really dodged a bullet when we got around that thing that we cannot speak of. I think we really dodged a bullet. I think that the nefarious people, the purple of the world, whether they planned it or didn't plan it, I honestly think that they stumbled across this and decided to try and do something with it. It didn't work. But in thinking about the mass die-off, one of the things that we basically need to understand is that one of the ways that it could happen is through an EMP. And that is the fastest one. That's the fastest one, whether it's regional or whether it is national. It really depends, but it would still have the same effect on that particular area. So the EMP Commission, where are we at here? And in the event of an EMP attack, has estimated 80-90% of a mass die-off could happen within 4 to 6 weeks. That's fast, guys. It's incredibly, incredibly fast. When I first read this estimation of die-off, it was too surreal to think about. Go to a mall, a big box store, the grocery store, and count off 8 of 9 Americans dead. The 9th and 10th is a survivor. Then I got to thinking about how dependent we are on our just-in-time or business-as-usual paradigm. The system allows for maximum efficiency at a modest profit and lowest cost. Unfortunately, the system is highly dependent on everything working just right and highly dependent on a readily available supply of cheap energy. Take the shutdowns from the things that we can't speak about. A few meatpacking plants closed due to workers testing positive, and suddenly we saw rising costs and empty shelves. Buying limits. Ooh, we haven't talked about that. Buying limits. And it was not just meat, pasta, flour. Oh, flour. No, don't say that. Rice, yeast, toilet paper. The supply chain was in terrible condition. And at normal consumption rates, these are only 3 days of food on the grocery store shelves in any given city. Once that supply is gone, where is the supply? Again, imagine 8 or 9 out of 10 Americans dead. Some of these would be people who produce the food, people who produce the food, people who process the food, people who transport the food, people who stock the shelves, and those who wring you out. The same people also pump oil out of the ground, transport it to refineries, refine it into a usable end product, and those who again transport that end product to your local gas station. Another part that few mention is the supply of pharmaceuticals. There's a lot of people who are dependent on those drugs for everyday life with no natural herbal alternative. Then there are the drugs that people may not be life dependent on, but need just for functioning: antidepressants, anti-anxiety, antipsychotic, etc. How would they function? Yeah, and it's bothersome that so many people's lives would end in such a short period of time if we were in a true SHTF situation. I mean, I've never done, it's actually got my brain rattling right now because I'm like, I wonder how many people died during Katrina. I don't know. I really wonder how many people died during Katrina. And then how did they die? And are those statistics lined up with these kind of thoughts that we were just having, these things that I was just reading, you know? So in a true SHTF situation, a lot of people are going to die. And I won't say you have to mentally prepare yourself for that, but I will tell you that it should probably be something that kind of drives your preparedness, not just the instinctual thing is to buy as much food as you can possibly buy. That's the instinctual thing to do. But the reality is that there's a lot of other things that you're going to have to do to make sure that you do survive. And it is also important to remember that lone wolves die alone. A lone wolf doesn't survive. They need a pack. You need a community. So if you can in some way, you should be involved in your community in the most subtle ways. Because when something happens, the community will rally. Even if it just starts as gossip, the community will rally. And they may be looking for somebody who knows what the hell is going on who has prepared for these things. All right, I'm going to go ahead and check the chat real quick, and then we'll go from there. Hey, Spag showed up. I haven't talked to you in a while, bro. Matter of fact, I need to give you a call at some point. I got some questions about some questions. Let's see. A lot of people depend on the internet to make money. Imagine if the internet went out for 4 to 6 months like a digital EMP. I don't know what a digital EMP is. An EMP is electromagnetic pulse that affects all things electrical. But yeah, a lot of people do. I mean, thank God I don't your credit cards quit working just instantly. No. And when I say your credit cards, I mean your debit cards, which really means your bank. And your bank can't give you any money because there's no paper records at the bank, guys. It's all electronic. You can't even prove that you have money. You'd have to wait till the banks come back on and hope that they got their trash in one bag. Not good. All right, let's see here. Let's see here. That's a great point. It's going to be a huge problem. Imagine how many skeets are credit people with their meds going to bed. So Hicktown Honey says 1,392 people died in Katrina. That is huge. That is huge, guys. Sadly, if you have to imagine 8 of 10 gone, then how much does the supply chain really matter at that point? Because yes, there wouldn't be any to keep it going, but a lot less to keep buying. Yeah, there's a paradigm there. And there would be a shift, but you have to remember who you're dealing with, man. You have to remember who you're dealing with, because the other two people that are alive out of 8 out of 10, do they have the skills? No, they don't. You know what I'm saying? 8 out of 10 preppers don't have the skills required to survive on the land. It's the truth. So. Let's see here. Everyday survival. If I was Florida A. Okay, screenshot my account every day. Cat2 says she screenshots her account every day. That's not a bad idea. All right, let's see here. Okay, I think that's going to be it for today, guys. As usual, do me a favor. If you like to support the channel, there are links below. You're an adult. Do it how you want to. I know right now, I hate to say it, but I know that people are starting to wonder what's happening in the world, and they feel as if time is running out, so they're doing a lot of buying on Amazon. Yeah, I do affiliate for Amazon. There's actually a full disclaimer in there and everything, but I do have a store for preparedness. If you would like any recommendations, you can contact me however you'd like to, and I can talk to you. Until the next time, stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you when I see you. Do me a favor, guys, make sure you hit that like, subscribe button as you run out of here to the next stream or get back to work or something like that. Love you guys. I'm going to start pushing some buttons now, and bye-bye.